I keep saying it, but like I'm trying to create experiences for people that maybe aren't things that are out there, but that are like really just genuinely cool, fun, unique things. And I was just thinking, like, it was inevitable that I ended up exactly where I am right now, doing this like very specific, niche, weird stuff. And so yeah, I guess I was thinking about like how crafting kind of that personal narrative of your life can be really helpful. And that's something that our mutual friend James Artemis Owen talks about a lot. I know he's done that with a lot of his experiences. And so I was definitely trying to do that a little bit as I wrote this up and thinking about where I've come from and where I'm going and like why I'm here, right now, and how it does kind of feel all like it was, like a little bit like it was meant to be.
Welcome to the Stark Reflections on Writing and Publishing podcast. There has never been a better time for writers. More information, options, and opportunities are available to you, but navigating these requires insight. Join Mark Leslie Lefebvre as he draws upon more than a quarter century of experience as a writer, a bookseller, and a trusted book industry consultant to explore and reflect on the writing and publishing landscape to help you make informed choices on your writer journey.
Hello, Reflectives, and welcome to episode 459 of the Stark Reflections podcast. This is your host, Mark Leslie Lefebvre. Today's episode, I have an interview with Tanya Hales. Now, Tanya Hales is an author, an artist, and a reflective visionary who loves creating experiences in art and storytelling, and in other things too, like in collaboration and friendship, etc. Tanya splits her time between work as a writer, an illustrator, and a mother, all of which she loves intensely. And all of which, I may add, she absolutely shines at. I am so thrilled that I get to share Tanya with you today as we talk about her writing, we talk about her art, and we talk about her creation of experiences in art and story. And that's coming up later in this episode. First, let's hear a word about this episode's sponsor. This episode is sponsored by my affiliate link to manuscriptreport.com. You know, one of the most frustrating things about being a writer is we really just want to get back to writing. We can spend, days, hours, weeks, months, years pounding out that novel of our heart or that book of our heart or the thing that really resonates with us. We have no problem in the weeds and creating this magnificent work of art. But what we often struggle at is the marketing and even writing the sales copy or an outline or finding the right keywords, etc. Because we're so ingrained in it, we need to kind of take a step back. We need to have a fresh pair of eyes. Manuscript Report is an online platform that allows you to upload your PDF of your completed, finished, edited manuscript, and it will read through and it will do some comparisons for you. It will find some of the keywords, it'll find tropes, it'll find the genre specifications so you can understand where to identify it in the market. Speaking of the market, it helps you identify comparable or comp authors and titles, and it will provide a list that says this book is like this book and this author in this way, but here's also how it's different. It'll break down different audiences who are probably going to resonate with the content of the book, all based specifically and exclusively on your content, and give different pitches for those audiences. It is an author's dream come true because it probably removes days, hours, weeks, months, years of frustrating marketing anxiety. And it boils it down to you because you usually get that report back in about 20 minutes. Now, there's the levels of reports that you can get. I kind of like the middle one that's in around $40 to $50 US range. But I just think about how much time, energy, and anxiety it has saved me. And if you want to check out manuscriptreport.com, don't forget you can get 10% off a purchase from them using the affiliate code MARK10. That's MARK10. Use that to get 10% off manuscriptreport.com and overcome that marketing and promotion anxiety so you can get back to something you really, truly love, which is that writing. Quick comments from recent episodes is Randy Green over on buymeacoffee.com said, Mark, in the Harold and Maude interview, you tossed out the line, make serendipity happen. That has become my mantra for 2026, and already amazing things are happening. Enjoy your coffee. Thank you so much, Randy, for that coffee. It was delicious, and it came at the right time. They keep me warmed after about an hour of being outside shoveling the snow. And thanks so much for the comment. I love that you shared that, and so glad that you've adapted the serendipity mantra for the year. And I'm so glad that already, we're only a month into the year, and already you found that amazing things are happening because you've opened yourself to those things, and of course you've made it happen. I look forward to hearing how it's happening as the year unfolds. Now, that's not the first time that you've bought me a coffee, Randy, so I want to say thank you for that as well as the previous ones, and also thanks to Christopher Dodd and Nikki Gerlain for the coffees over on buymeacoffee.com/Mark Lussie. So much, greatly appreciated. This is a boy who loves to keep himself very, very caffeinated. So thank you guys for the coffee. And also thanks to those who support this podcast over at patreon.com/darkreflections. As I mentioned in my previous episode, I'm going to take the income that has come in for January for my patrons, or February, I should say, for my patrons, and also for my coffee buddies, and I'm going to donate that to the Push for Better. The push-up challenge in February, where I have to do 2,000 push-ups in the span of 20-something days, and it's just great. It's a great exercise. I've already had a few folks join the team, so welcome to Chris. And welcome to Jared, who are members of the Stark Reflections team already. So we have a team. We have some goals. It's going to be so much fun. I'm actually, what I'm going to go do, is I'm going to go and find Chris's account and find Jared's account. And I'm going to donate to them because, hey, that also contributes to the team. But also a huge thank you to my coffee buddies as well as to my patrons, because thank you very much. You have already donated to the Pushing for Better. And this, the fundraising that they do with the Push-Up Challenge goes to, as I mentioned in that very brief a bonus episode that I released a few days ago, it goes to a good cause. It goes to mental health awareness and Canadian Mental Health Association, who do some great things and offer some great resources, because we need to take care of all aspects of ourselves, our physical bodies, our mental bodies, our souls, our all the elements that make us the amazing creative people that we are. So I'm going to play a quick bumper and do another update. A personal update, that's what it is. Yeah, a personal update. That's what we shall call it from here on in. Okay, just quick personal update is, so I will be off to Colorado Springs next week for Superstars writing seminars. I absolutely adore it. I realize this would be the 16th year of Superstars. Now, there's one missed because of pandemic reasons, but I've been going to it since they moved. They moved the first couple years, but I think it was the third year I started going to it, since they actually moved it to Colorado Springs. And I love it so much. I have the great honor of being the official master of ceremonies, which means I get to introduce, the captain, commander-in-chief, Kevin J. Anderson, but I also get to represent the amazing work that everyone behind the scenes does on Superstars. Not just Marie and Cindy, who a lot of people get to see, at the stage, is the people who do a lot of the work, but there's so many other staff. There's so many other volunteers. There's a great board. It is a not-for-profit organization. I am a member of the board as well. All of the amazing work done by so many fantastic people that make this week. I call it a week, but it's really Wednesday through Saturday that make this. But I end up going down on Monday, because on Tuesday I do help with some of the setup and things like that. I am very much involved in it, and it's honestly one of the most phenomenal experiences I have in my life. I always come back from Superstars supercharged, inspired, and energized, and it really truly is the people. I get to spend time with some of the most amazing people I have ever been fortunate to know in my life, and it's a truly phenomenal experience. Yes, the content is great. It's all about the business of writing and publishing, which is what I'm all about. But there's also some craft things in there as well, and honestly, it's about the connections, the true connections. And it was Superstars that introduced me to Tanya, and so I have this amazing friend that I connected with, this fellow creative, this fellow artist and writer. Well, I'm not an artist so much as a writer. You should see my stick figures; they're great. But I get to meet amazing folks, and Tanya is one of them. And I'm so glad I get to share her brilliance and everything that's so awesome about her with you today. And I guess the other thing that I really enjoy about this week is it's really intense. I am exhausted when I get back, but I'm also so energized. Now, there's going to be, some new speakers. I'm looking forward to seeing Johnny B. Truant again in person. Saw him in November. Same thing with Maddie Dalrymple. Got to see Maddie, of course, recently, but I get to see Maddie again. And, of course, Maddie and I talk regularly as well, and including in the patron hangout that we did in January. And there will be a patron hangout again in February because it was so much fun. There was just half a dozen of us, and it was just so lovely, and so many amazing people. Like Becca Syme's going to be there, Roland Denzel, so it'd be great to see them. They are the cutest couple, and it's been a while. I mean, I didn't really get to hang out with them much or chat with them much in November, so hopefully I get a chance to do that. And that's the thing, is there's so many wonderful people at Superstars. I know there's going to be people I barely pass in the hall with. But another thing, just personal update. So one of the things I love about Superstars is every year, James Artemis Owen, and we mentioned him in this interview. James and I have done for the charity auction to raise money for the scholarship fund for Superstars just before the charity auction, because of a bet that James had made with Marie that he would sing and dance on stage. I said, "Well, I got your back, brother. I'll do it. I'll humiliate myself with you." So the first year we decided to do a short skit. Song and dance bit with the Blues Brothers. We decided to play brothers, and then the second year we did it again because it was somewhat popular and people got a good laugh as we made fools of ourselves on stage. We did Bob and Doug McKenzie, brothers. And then last year we did Thor and Loki. And James was sort of the out-of-shape Thor for one of the Avengers films, and I was Loki for president as well, so I didn't have to have the green costume, I just had the suit. So it made the costume a lot easier, but I still had the horns. And this year, we don't tell anyone ahead of time what we're doing, but this year we have another set of brothers, and James and I have been passing the script for the song, the parody song we're doing, the short parody song, and then the short sketch as well. And again, it'll be based on brothers. And it's always just so much fun. I love the energy and the excitement that we just get the crowd in a really good mood, and it's amazing how generous folks are with the charity auction. And there's some really amazing items that get up for auction as well. So, anyways, that's what I'm some of the many things I'm looking forward to. I've also got other things going on. So on Saturday, on the 31st. I'm going to be in Hamilton at Sharp Words Hamilton, which is a book festival, a single-day book festival. I'll be there selling books. And I'm also, where else am I going to be? Oh, yeah, and Superstars on the Wednesday night. There's going to be a book extravaganza, and there's going to be a ton of authors there signing books. And author Laura Hayden from Author will be selling the books there. And Laura's been on this podcast. I should bring her back. Love talking to booksellers. But anyways, that's it for my now, what is it, 10 minutes? No, it's only really been about a 6-minute personal update. But, I'm looking at the time is we're crouching into 15 minutes and 30 seconds. But I am meeting some buddies from high school for lunch today. I am actually taking a full lunch today. I normally don't do this, and I'm so excited. I'm going to be hanging out with Greg and Craig and Tacky, and I've known these guys since high school. and or I've known them even earlier than that, but started to hang around with them a lot when we were in high school. And it's so amazing when I'm so blessed, I'm so lucky to have friends that I've known most of my life. And we go and we have a couple beers, we have some wings, we joke, we make fun of one another, all the things that friends do, and it's just such a wonderful feeling. And I get to do this, on the Friday before the Monday that I head off to Superstars. And it's a reminder to me, I'm 56 now. I will be turning 57. Yeah, because I can do math. Sure, I will be turning 57. And I just think about all the people who are no longer in my life, and whether they passed away or we lost a connection, and I mourn for that. But more than mourn, I want to celebrate those people who I've had in my life in the past, but also celebrate the people that I'm still lucky that I get to hang out with, that I get to spend time with, both today for lunch as well as when I'm at Superstars next week. So if you are coming to Superstars, please come and say hi. I'm actually a lot shyer than I appear to be in public. I'm not really good at approaching people. I'm trying to put on the persona and pretend that I'm outgoing, but I'm often not all that good at it. But I am great when you approach me. I am fantastic because I admire your courage to come out and say hi. All right, now I've pushed this into 17 and a half minutes. Why don't we roll the bumper so you can benefit from the awesomeness of Tanya Hales? Hey, Tanya, welcome to the Stark Reflections podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. I am really excited to be here. I do listen to your podcast quite often, so
Oh, you're a sucker for
I'm
punishment, aren't you?
excited.
No, it is so great to get you on the podcast, and this is our third attempt, I think, of
That
trying to
might be
book.
right, yeah.
Yeah, to third attempt. I think the last time I got a notification, I was at the mall. Yeah, it was at the end of December. I think I was doing some last minute chores, and I got the notification, and there was no time I was going to get home in time, because it's not like I was in the parking lot and ready to go. I was in the middle of a lineup.
Hmm.
I was like, "There's no way I'm going to get home in time." But I'm so glad. I'm so glad that
Yeah.
we
Maybe it was
did.
for the best. I feel like I'm a little older and wiser already,
Oh,
so
we both are. We both are. No, we met back at Superstars
I
in,
think so. It must have been, yeah, my
um,
very first one.
was it? I
Um,
I
I think of
remember
what
the
year that
very
was.
first time I think I remember interacting with you, before you became an editor who acquired one of my pieces of writing. Thank you. I'm so honored. Oh, yay. And we'll get to that. I believe it was at Superstars where you handed me a sketch that you had doodled while I was speaking at something. And I still have it. It was the coolest thing. And I just
Oh,
thought,
that's
what a
fun that you still have
great way.
that.
So let's get into what compelled you to do that sort of thing.
So yeah, my identity, I feel like, is equal parts author and illustrator. I sometimes I feel like people kind of push me to be like, well, what are you more? Like more artist, more illustrator, or more author? Um, and like for me, it's all part of storytelling. And so yeah, one of my favorite things to do is to create experiences for people using the things I make, and that includes just creating things for people on the spot. I think that's a really fun way to, I don't know, for one thing, it's a fun way to connect with people. Like I think a lot of the connections I've made with speakers and people who I feel like are kind of like out of my league to talk to, maybe on like a normal basis, whether or not that's true, I tend to feel that way. Um, like I think most of my connections have come from things like that where I've just and for me, it's like not like a super difficult thing to create like a sketch of someone while they're speaking. But for a lot of people, like receiving that sketch, it's kind of a big deal. And I think it does make me stand out. And so, like, it's just, like I said, it's just a really fun way to connect with people. And yeah, and kind of, yeah, build another experience around this larger experience that we're having together. So,
Well, but that was a perfect example of you built an experience. I felt honored that you would take the time to do that. And I know for you as an artist, you're like, I'm an artist. That's what I do. But that's kind of cool. That kind of a, I mean, it's also, I mean, a little ego boost. Oh, look, you drew me. Cool, very cool. And it was flattering too. It wasn't kind of like, big giant jug ears and giant
Yeah,
head.
I tend to not do like the crazy caricature style stuff. I feel like
Yeah.
most people are not like, yeah, not super flattered by
Yeah,
that
but I was
style.
like,
It's
well, the giant nose,
humorous,
like
but
all the
yeah.
things, right? So no, but it was just, but it created. I love how you said that. You created an experience because that, as a creator, as a writer, as an illustrator, that's what you're doing. You're creating experiences. When did you know? At what point did you recognize either or of the illustration or of the writing? At what age was it like, oh, I want to be an artist or I want to be a writer? Or did they come simultaneously? Did they come at different times?
Yeah, I was, let's see, I was making art since basically since I was old enough to hold a pencil. Like I grew up with a mom who was not an artist exactly. Well, she does. I'd say she's more of like a 3D artist. She's someone who dabbles and is actually very good at a lot of different things, but she doesn't like consistently pursue one avenue. Like she's done really cool like wood carving. Currently she does a lot of beautiful needle felting. I can show you. I don't know if this will end up, but like she does like here's a little like a needle
Oh,
felted
wow.
bat. I have all her cute
Oh my
things. She does
God, that's
like little
gorgeous.
pumpkins. Like I don't know how well you can.
Wow. It's amazing.
Anyway, so she was the one who, got me into art. And of course, like we're both very much, I shouldn't say of course, but like, like as though you would know, of course. But like we're very, I mean, maybe you do know because you know me, but like very into nature-based things like animals.
Yeah.
She was, yeah, she definitely sparked my love of animals. Like I was homeschooled at a young age. And I remember like some of our education was just like we were in southern Utah. And there were, we were in an area where there were a decent amount of like rivers and streams. And so like we would go to these like streams and we would like find frogs and crayfish and, all kinds of things. Like I remember one of our experiments was like literally getting a bunch of like pond water like in a bucket and then taking it home and then studying like little tiny organisms that were like living in this pond water. So like, like kind of
I
nerdy,
remember
weird
doing that.
but like so
Yeah,
but basically she really
I love that.
like inspired this love of that I have of both nature and drawing because she would draw animals for me like I said from like the time I was I mean I don't know gosh like yeah like 3 or something like very little and like I would be coloring in all these animals and so yeah like I was doing art since I was very young. Writing I feel like came I mean just a bit later just because I think it's a slightly more difficult skill for a child to acquire but like
Yeah.
by fifth grade I was writing novels in spiral ring notebooks and having a blast. I was I don't know if this is just kind of a quirk I have. Well, I think it's multiple things. I was blessed to be raised by parents who were very supportive. I never like when I was young, I never heard like the words like, "Oh, you're wanting to be an artist, huh?" Like, no one ever doubted that like this was something I could just do. And so like I feel like when I was younger, especially, I did have a lot of like self-assurance. Like I felt decently confident that like it was just like not really a question of like yeah this is what I'm gonna be an author and an illustrator like that's just it like as a teenager I got really into comics and I thought that was what I was gonna do. Yeah, I don't know, I've just been making cool stuff
Oh, that's
for a
amazing.
long time.
When was the first time that you put your work out, whether as an artist or as a writer, in front of other people? Do you remember?
I feel like the first time it was kind of like a public sales type thing was there was this cool art, I guess it was like a sales event that the high school put together. I was probably around 16. And yeah, I just had a bunch of art. I was really lucky that we had a cool, like our school was very small. Like we had a very small school. We were kind of in the middle of nowhere, in Page, Arizona. And so I feel like we were really lucky to have some of the resources we had. Like we had the graphic design lab, I guess, had like really cool like equipment. Like anyway, we had the teacher worked with me. Like I paid her basically like for the exact cost of things. Or like I guess paid the school, but and I was able to like get some stickers made. So I guess that was like my first experience with stickers and so
You
different
made a
things that
sticker,
were
really?
Mhm.
What were they?
So
Were
yeah.
they animal
They
based?
actually weren't. I
No.
they were really goofy. They were I don't have them around anymore. They were sort of like these little. like expressive little, like not exactly stick figures, but they were just like these little goofy characters. Yeah, I don't know. They were just funny little guys.
Oh
I think I
wow.
called them my Doodle Dudes is what they were called.
Doodle
So
Dudes.
that's
I
I'd
love that.
forgotten that those even existed until we brought that up. That's kind of
Oh,
funny.
God. I want to see new Doodle Dudes. I want to see
Yeah.
the evolution. I remembered as a child, I read Mad Magazine and Cracked and all those, and it was Sergio Aragonés who he had the margin. He always had the little doodles in the margin, and you didn't even notice half the time until you paid. It's just like, oh, there's these little things going on, and they're all didn't it
Yeah.
require sound bubbles, dialogue, or anything like that. They were just all visual humor, which were almost like doodles, but in a fun way. And I remember going and buying books of his art because I wanted to see them bigger. I was like, these are
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they were called marginals, something like that. That was the first time I paid attention that doodles could be more than just doodles.
Hmm.
What's your favorite in terms of art? Because you do a bunch of different things. Is it like sketching, painting, and what mediums are your favorite to work in?
Let's see. That
I
is a
see
hard
brushes
question.
on the wall
I
behind you, by the way. Those are paintbrushes, aren't they? Or are they?
I'm like, which one
Those
are
are
we?
tagged. I thought they were
Yeah,
paintbrushes.
those are yeah, back there, there's all my lanyards I've collected
Lanyards
from all
from
my
various
events.
shows. Okay, sorry. I thought the one looks like a.
I do have a lot of paintbrushes. They're just not on the wall.
Oh,
But
they're not there. Okay.
that would actually make for pretty cool decor though. Yeah, so I mostly these days I'm doing digital art because I have four children at home and it is hard to get out just a lot of art stuff, especially my
Oh my
youngest
God,
is
yeah.
2 and we have recently introduced her to painting
Okay.
and now she's very offended if I do not let her paint with me. And so
Right.
it's a little hard to manage
Is she
like
finger
painting my
painting? Is
own
she grabbing
thing.
a brush? How's it?
She will try using a brush, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So digital art, how did you get into digital art? Like what was that transition like? Was it kind of like, oh, I can't set up a stand and get whatever because you're going to get pulled, right? As a mother with young kids, you're going to get pulled away
Hmm.
quickly, so you can't like, this is going to dry or any of that. Where did that happen?
Yeah, so I actually been doing digital art since I think I was about 15 years old.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, back then when I was a teenager, most of my art was done just like in a sketchbook, and then I would occasionally do some painting. But I was looking but back then I was really into like web comics. I loved there were a whole bunch of just gorgeous web comics I loved. And I learned a lot about the process, and most people were doing the art digitally, and they had like a cool art tablet. So my first one, I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was like might have been like the Wacom Intuos, but it's the kind where you're drawing on a pad down here while
Okay.
looking at your screen up here. So it's not the
Oh,
nice ones that like now that you have like the screen, you're actually looking at the screen while you draw. It's like
so you can't
you're
see what you're drawing unless you
yeah.
look up. Oh,
You're
wow.
just looking at your computer screen and your hand is down here drawing. So it was a little bit of a transition to get used to that. But I do feel like maybe one of my skills is I adapt pretty quickly to new things because I took to that really fast and I was doing like I said I did a web comic when I was a teenager.
Wow.
That like I thought like I said going into college I kind of thought that's what I wanted to do and then I learned that webcomics take a very, 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 very long time to tell even kind of a short to medium-sized story. And so that's why I've transitioned to novels mostly for telling long form stories, just because I have so many stories I want to tell. But yeah, so like I've been doing digital art for a long time and it's actually funny. It's only been this past year that I've transitioned to doing it on an iPad, which I
Oh,
have loved because all I need is that iPad and that
the
Apple
stylus?
Pencil, yeah, and then I can take it anywhere I go. Like when I'm
Oh, that's
hanging out
fantastic.
with my kid while he's at gymnastics, I can be drawing. It's very, very nice. I love it. I'm like, why did I not do this sooner? Because
So
like
do
there have been
you,
times I've literally taken like my there's like we have an aquarium here that's gorgeous. I love anywhere with lots of animals. But
and
there's like this
apparently
whole big
aquatic
play
creatures too.
place.
Yeah, goes back to the
Yeah.
pond.
Yes. But there's this whole big place there too. My kids usually like to spend like half an hour to an hour there, like after we're done looking at the animals. And so there were times I was like taking my laptop and like my drawing tablet, and I would sit there and like try to find a spot to sit because usually like half the chairs, most not half, like most of the chairs are taken.
Yeah.
And so I'm like sometimes I'm like sitting on the floor somewhere, like trying to do art on the like with my laptop in my lap and this other thing on top of it. Anyway, so it's been very nice to transition to the doing it
Just
on the iPad.
a nice iPad.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
all there. Do you I have to ask, since you have writing, words,
Hmm.
and visual art, do you have two different muses, or does the muse have two different
Mm.
personas?
Oh, that's a good question. Like, how do I view that?
Like, do you get the tap on the shoulder from the art muse or from the writing muse, or how does that
Hmm.
work?
Good answer for that. Like, and maybe it's because a lot of what I do lately has become a little more practical.
Okay.
Like, like, how do I explain that? Like, it's like I'll have a specific project I'm working on. For instance, right now I'm prepping a Kickstarter campaign for my new cozy fantasy novel that I just wrote. And so, like, for a while I was writing it, I was just in writing mode. It's like I don't know if I'm kind of like manufacturing that like muse energy where I'm just like we're in writing mode, like we're writing and we're editing, like that's just what we're doing. And then now that that's done, and there's going to be a lot of art involved in this project because of course there is. Like
Of
I'm
course.
trying to make it a very very beautiful project, and then I have all these fun ideas for yeah like the stickers and the pins and some really pretty art prints and like cool interior illustrations, like they're gonna be pretty like end papers, and it's gonna be very
Oh, wow.
beautiful with lots of art. And so now I'm very much in the art mode. And it's like I have to I don't know, yeah, like I'm like how I do feel like I do have to get a little bit practical with it. Like where I have definitely been craving writing book two in this series, but I'm like it's just not quite time yet. I have to get this other stuff done because like I there really is kind of like an ideal order to do things. I think that's been one of my struggles throughout my whole career is jumping ahead to things that aren't quite the right next thing.
Yeah.
And once again, this is like kind of career wise. Like I think if I was completely a hobbyist, I would probably follow the muse a little more. I would indulge in my ADHD brain just a bit more, but I am trying to yeah, create well, like I said, I'm trying to create experiences and like that involves like putting actual things out into the world. And so yeah, I don't know if that answered your question at all, but
No, it did. It did actually, and I love that. So you mentioned that Kickstarter, and you've done a few successful
Mhm.
Kickstarters. Was the Animal Magica, was that the first that you had done?
So I did a very small one. Oh gosh, how long? I don't know. It was a while ago. It was basically back when Kickstarter was kind of newish. I was
Right.
in my young 20s. And I wanted to like do something like super small to try and just experience what it's like to run a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And so I did like greeting cards, and it's funny because
Okay.
I still have a bunch, and I don't really sell them. I think people mostly backed it to support me. Like my funding goal was super low. It was like $200 or something. I think I made 500, so it was very small.
Yeah.
Um, and kind of like basically, yeah, what I did for that isn't really what I'm like doing as much now, so it doesn't fit as much with the other things I'm selling.
Right.
So it's just one of those things. Like, but it was a good experience. I think it did give me a lot of confidence to do the my next one, which was, several years later, which was the Animal Magica coloring books.
Right. And you've
Um,
done three that I'm aware of. Is that?
yeah, so there's three books, and two of them I brought to life using Kickstarter. So the very first one, yeah, I don't know. Do you want to go into the whole history of
Well, yeah,
what Animal Magica
so
is, or I'm
when
like,
I bring
where should we
these,
start with this?
yeah, when I bring these to a show, people love them. They're so gorgeous. They're visually appealing. So yeah, let's explain to the listeners who are not lucky enough to have seen them, what is the Animal Magica, and I love the way you did this.
Yeah, so Animal Magica. Let's see it. It's funny because it came about kind of as an accident. I feel like a lot of the best things that I've made start that way. I'm just kind of like, that would be kind of cool, and then it just like blows up. Like the more I overthink something, the more, the I don't know. I feel like there's just sort of like this serendipity with some things where it just happens. think you were interviewing Megan Smith, is that her name? She's the
Yeah.
musician and animator. And I
Yeah.
remember she was talking a lot about that, and I really resonated with what she was saying about that. Kind of, yeah, this idea of like things, I don't know, like you just do the work and like put yourself in the right places and then things happen. So yeah, for Animal Magica, how so yeah, there are a series of coloring books, but there's, I'm planning to have like much more to this world. It's more of
Oh,
like a whole
wow.
brand. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know if you knew it's
No,
gonna
I
be
didn't.
there's gonna be a whole lot. But yeah, but the coloring books is where it started. So it started when my daughter was, I think, about 4. So this would have been like 2019, maybe 2018. I'm trying to think. Yeah, somewhere in there. And she was really into like, so she's an artist like me, which has been a wonderful time. Like it's actually kind of uncanny sometimes how much she's like me. But she liked to do coloring books, but she didn't want to color the kid coloring books. She wanted the beautiful, like fancy adult coloring books, right?
Right.
And so I'd been buying a bunch of these and was like, gosh, these are so pretty. And then I thought like I could make something like this. Like, I actually love doing line art. Like, line art is really fun. Like, coloring's fun too, but like, there's something really satisfying about, my art has always been pretty line based,
Right.
which is, I think, yeah, it comes from more of like my, my drawing illustrator kind of background rather than like starting with painting like some people do, where it's more like shape based and mine is more, yeah, like linear. And so I started making these coloring pages for her for fun, not really thinking I was gonna do anything with them. But of course, they're like pictures of like, like a warrior princess with like dragons and whatever it was. Like I'm trying to think what were in the very first ones I ever made. I think one of the very first ones I made was like, it's like a winged woman with like swans like flying all around her and things like that. And yeah, like so yeah, it was my favorite things to draw, which are like characters. I love characters, I love fantasy characters. And then of course I love animals and magical creatures. So yeah, could just combined all my favorite things. And then as I piled up, I think it was only like about 5 of them before like I came up with this idea of like, what if I just made a whole coloring book? And of course that took me down the whole rabbit hole because I was in the kind of the indie publishing mindset at this point. I hadn't published any novels yet, but I was like, okay, what are people doing in like the coloring book world that is working? And so like I bought all these coloring books that were from indies because I thought that was important. So like I can't do the model that a trad publisher does. And yeah, indies were doing these cool things where they would usually have like 25 to 30 illustrations and they would put them in like the book twice, right? So you can color them twice. And then it kind of makes it a decent sized book, but still being like a reasonable amount of illustrations to manage as like a
Yeah.
single illustrator trying to like put art into the world and maybe make some money from it. So that was where I went with that with my very first one. I did I think 25 illustrations. I had them in the book twice, but I had to take it another step further. I thought, what if there was also stories with these? Because of course there should be. It's like these characters naturally just I'm like they all have a story. Like I know it. And so it was kind of funny because when I first drew the pictures, I didn't really have a story in mind for any of the characters. And so it was like after that, I'm like looking at them like, what is their story? Like trying to figure it out. Like what are they actually doing? Because a lot of the art was just me thinking like a lot of it was I get a lot of inspiration from other artists, right? So like, I have like a lot of really cool art books from other illustrators, some cool like character design books. And so like a lot of it was me like getting inspiration from those and like creating something I thought was just like this is super cool. And then after the fact, I'm like, okay, what's the story? So yeah, so it was really fun to write those stories for volume 1. And so all of those I did myself. And I published that book, not having like huge expectations. Like I just published it straight to Amazon. Did some like a print run, just a KDP, print on demand print run, and you know, the sales were actually pretty good. I was really like, I was happy, for me, my low expectations. I thought it was pretty neat, and a lot of people, I think maybe because it's unique enough, like the combination of I don't know, just a few different things combined, like both the art and the writing, and then just the theme of the whole book, where I was, doing these fantasy characters with cool creatures, and then I was also trying to have a lot of like diverse representation within the books, in with like ethnicity and background and like body types and things like that was important to me because that's another thing that I felt like was lacking
Yeah.
in not just coloring books, but kind of like a lot of fantasy art in general.
Yeah.
I think these are getting better in that regard though. So it went. better than I thought. And I decided I wanted to do it again, but make it even more fun. One thing I've always liked the idea of, and I was kind of new to me then, was just collaboration. This was my first experience with collaboration, was volume two, where I wanted to do that same thing where I created a bunch of art without, like I said, without completely having in my own mind the exact stories of the characters. A lot of
Yeah,
times I was kind of like, oh well, there's some kind of like I was like, this is would be like a protector kind of character, like they
right.
the way that I portrayed them. But it was like
Right.
I don't have like their story of like who they are exactly or what they're doing in this moment. So I created a bunch of illustrations again, and I wanted to hand these illustrations over to a bunch of my author friends and have them write the stories and to be able to pay them for it. So I wanted to do the Kickstarter so we could fund. Yeah, like I wanted to do a pro rate for the stories, and luckily because they're flash fiction, I was able to afford that because I would love to do longer stuff eventually. And yeah, if I can, at some point, if that is financially feasible, I would
But
love to be able to.
after actually paying all the contributors, because you had a number of contributors, quite a few, like
Mm-hmm.
20 or something more, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And even though it's short one-page pieces per, there's a lot of people to pay. Did
Mm-hmm.
you
Yep.
actually, on that Kickstarter, did you actually lose money or actually come out ahead?
I did make a little bit of money,
Oh, cool.
which I
Because
then
that's
like,
usually
of
hard
course,
to
funneled
do,
straight back into the business because
of
that's what I
course.
do. But like I was able to get, I'm trying to think with that first campaign. I know I got some new equipment. I think that was when I got my new like upgraded printer and things like that. So I was able to get basically some new things that were nice to
Okay.
just make my art business even better. So yeah,
And
but yeah,
then
I did make a profit on that.
So
So
then you
yeah.
did another one like a year or two later, but you got it was
Yeah.
a little bit more complicated than just a standalone, hey, here's a drawing, write something.
Yeah, because volume two it really was pretty standalone. We kind of developed a little bit of a story through it. I was like there was a point where I think I'd had like I said, I think there were about 25 contributors to volume two, kind of my original core set, and then I had added a few on as like my stretch goal
Yeah.
contributors, which we did reach the stretch goals and we were able to get them on. But like I think they were like about the point where we had about 15 or so stories that had been returned, and I was noticing that there were these cool like hooks that people were putting in their stories, like these kind of loose
Oh,
threads. And so I remember I messaged some other people who were still kind of like I'm not sure what I want to write, and I was like, well, here's some like loose threads that were brought up in some of these other stories.
oh, that's
And
so
so that's one of the
cool.
things that happened with the volume two, where there's a
Okay.
little bit of this narrative of this, of like it's like there's like a viper, kind of this villain that happens, and he's like in a few of the stories, and so like
I
it kind of
didn't
starts with
know
him and kind of
that.
ends with him.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
because because most of the stories are not connected to that, but I like there's enough in there that it like leads you through. If you read them all linearly, it kind of
Yeah.
has like a little bit of a beginning, middle, and end. But yeah, volume and when I with that I was like that was really fun. I'm like, what if we did that but took it another step further and we really did have this whole theme, like this core conflict. And so that's where it happened with volume three. So yeah, I
And
think
I
it was about a
think the
year and a half later.
volume two, the illustration was first. In volume three, you wrote the illustration based on. I
So
mean,
it was a
was it a
combo.
combination? Okay.
Hmm.
Because I think
So
the
I
one I
did.
wrote, I don't think I had I don't remember having a visual early on. Maybe I did.
No, I think I had you. Yeah, you were okay. Yes, that's right. I'm remembering this now, how this all went down. So yeah, I had so it was the same sort of thing where I I think I chose like 20 people to kind of do the first set of stories, right? Based on the
Right.
art I had already made. And then I was like, okay, here's because we're handling this a little differently. We had a main villain and like this core conflict that's like a threat all these characters are fighting against, kind of this rebellion type story against a usurper king. So I gave the art to people, I let them write the stories, and then I was like, okay, we've got some gaps. Um like and I knew I yeah so it was, so then I had like another wave of people come in and fill in some of those gaps, and then I can't remember what I called you guys, like my you were like my super team, you and Trisha was on there. Let's see who else. Mike Stumbos, Stace was one of them. Anyway, so I had you guys come in. Basically, you guys who were like, I knew were basically like fans of kind of my world of what I've done. I was like, I want you guys to do like the climax. And so we had like the order of like the events I wanted to have happen and the kind of the beats of the climax. And so you each had a character that had these pivotal moments in this final battle sequence. Even as I'm saying this out loud, I'm like, this is crazy. Like just organizing this was
You were
pretty
like a
wild.
producer and a director and a
Yeah. It was such a blast though. So yeah, for you guys, I think I had you guys write the stories and then I did the art based on your stories for those final. Oh, and Jessica Guernsey, she was another one who was on that who did those final stories.
right.
But anyway, yeah, you guys did the stories and then I did the art and then I did this final resolution piece at the very end. And it was that I wrote. And it was, yeah, it was so fun. Like, I don't know. It was weird. Like I said, I like to do a lot of weird things that I don't think a lot of other authors are doing, but I don't know. Like I said, it's like, I don't know. I feel like yeah, I'm trying to, yeah, I keep saying it, but like, I'm trying to create experiences for people that maybe aren't
I
things that are
love
out
that.
there, but that are like really just genuinely cool, fun, unique things. So.
It feels like creating experiences for people is definitely when people think of you, that's your as a writer, as an artist, as a creator, that's the genesis. That really is the aura that surrounds you as a creative. One of the reasons, I mean, it's always fun to talk to you, but it's always good to have an excuse. And I always, that's one of the reasons I started the podcast is it's really just an excuse for me to talk to really cool people. It's like, and I can learn, but it's like, well, it's a formal thing that helps give me the confidence to ask people. But I think I reached out to you because you had shared a Substack article and I'd read it and went, oh, that's so cool. Let's talk about it. Can you share a little bit about so what's the article and is it still available? People can still read it, like if I can link to it in the show notes, etc.
Yeah, it's just on my Substack, which is just let's see, I think my URL is just tanyahales.substack.com.
That's easy.
Um, yeah, I think like the name of my Substack is Dragon Delivery because
Wow, of course.
my little guy is like it's I've got art of a little dragon delivering mail.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wrote up I guess basically how it started was I was thinking about how so I haven't been publishing for all that long. Like I said, my Animal Magica ones were the beginning, but I was in kind of the indie author world for a long time. I feel
Yeah.
like for me, I'm just the kind of person who thinks about things for a long time and plans things for a long time. And then I'm slow because kids take up most of my time. So,
Hmm.
um, but something I was thinking about was how many people I kind of saw in the publishing world when I first came in that kind of felt like I was like, those are like key players and then they're not around anymore. I mean, and I don't mean that to say that they've passed away or anything, but like they've left the industry.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and sometimes like I think when I was so like yeah, this was I think in December, I was just really thinking about this. I'm like, how does that happen? Or I'm like, how can you leave this? How could you stop publishing? Like how do you and for all like I don't know their stories. Like these people might still be writing and just not publishing, like and that's that's a valid choice too, I think, to do it just for yourself. But I guess like I'm a very like passionate driven person and just the idea that like just stop doing it. I'm like, what are they even doing now? Like what do you even do if you're not doing this? Which is kind of, someone who, there's obviously many very reasonable things to do with your time that are not this, but like as someone who's just very passionate about, art and writing, like it's hard for me to imagine myself doing anything else. And so I was thinking about how I think there are people who sometimes worry I'm going to stop because I get discouraged sometimes, and I'm pretty open about like some of my like anxiety and depression struggles on the internet. So I think some people have been like, "Don't quit, like don't, you can't stop, like even if things are hard in this industry." And like I said, I've like it's never occurred to me to quit. Like so I wrote up this article, yeah, and I called it "It Was Inevitable." And it basically I went through my whole my whole background, like since I was a kid, and it was some of the things I was telling you about, like where, I was raised by really supportive parents, like with my mom, like was so like good about getting me into like the nature and the art and things. And then there were so many other things that like built me up into who I am. Like even if just things like oh like my parents I remember the day they brought home the animated film Kiki's Delivery Service and how like that was like I think my first experience with anime and and that's made by Studio Ghibli, they're very they're iconic, they just create just gorgeous movies, gorgeous art. Um, and then like getting into Pokemon, like there's all these things that built up. And I was just thinking, like, it was inevitable that I ended up exactly where I am right now, doing this like very specific niche weird stuff. And so yeah, I guess I was thinking about like how crafting kind of that personal narrative of your life can be really helpful. And that's something that our mutual friend James Artemis Owen talks about a lot. I know he's done that with a lot of his experiences because he's had both like amazing, like empowering things happen to him, and then he's also had a lot of like really tough setbacks. And I think he's basically transformed that into this like really empowering narrative though. And so I was definitely trying to do that a little bit as I wrote this up and thinking about yeah, where I've come from and where I'm going and like why I'm here, right now, and how it does kind of feel all like it was like a little bit like it was meant to be.
I love that. I love that. That's fantastic. I will include a link to that article in the show notes at starkreflections.ca. What are you working on now? What's coming next for Tanya Hales?
So like I said, I've been working on a Kickstarter campaign. So this will be my first full-length novel in the Animal Magica universe. So, and
Ooh.
there's a companion coloring page, but it's just a long coloring page. But
Okay.
lots of other art. Like
Lots of
I was
art. Yeah, lots of art.
lots of arts. Um, and yeah, my vision for Animal Magica is that it's going to be I don't even know how to explain it succinctly. That's kind of the problem. And like
Yeah.
it's gonna be everything. Like I,
Yeah.
I I really do plan for it to be this large brand. Like I mean in
Cool.
the way that like I don't know, Star Wars, Harry Potter, like all these have kind of taken on a life of their own, right? Like
Yeah.
that beyond just like that core
Yeah.
original narrative. So, and I know, like, I feel like
Well,
sometimes
there
I feel
are
really embarrassed even saying that because, like, especially this probably
no,
sounds so crazy for coming from someone
no,
who's like, the only Animal Magic products that are in the world right now are three coloring books, like, and to say like
no,
someday it's
that's
gonna
not
be this
true. There
enormous
are
brand,
kids. There are
but
kids wandering around in Ontario here, Canada, with your stickers, the Animal Magica stickers that you've created,
yeah,
right?
it's
So
true. There
it's
is some
there.
other
It's
art, I
already
suppose.
expanded into multimedia.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, like I have so many dreams for like I want like I said I'm doing the novels right now. I want to have this really cool like web experience. Like I don't know if you're familiar at all with it was called Pottermore. I think there's a different name for it now. But
Yeah.
it's sort of like this like immersive web experience. I want to do have something like that.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like we're kind of working on that with my husband because he is a coder, so he's able to he's
Oh,
working
that is
on a
so
few
cool.
things behind the scenes for me.
Think about the extra experiences that people who love a world like this can just fall into. And so
Mhm.
Animal Magica, here's a couple of for people who are not familiar with it. It's a fantasy world, but it's a family-friendly fantasy world, even with action
Yes,
and
yes.
adventure and bad guys
Hmm.
and dragons and all the things. It's family friendly. It's family safe.
Yes.
So
Yep, that's
it's
been one of my goals. Yep.
yeah, I
So
love
even
that it
with my
has that feel to it. That yes, there's
Mhm.
some darkness, but it's not that dark. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's always been on the cozy side for sure. So yeah, like
yeah,
my novel that I'm publishing right now, it's cozy. It's my first cozy fantasy, which it just like works so well with like my art brand, which has always been pretty cozy, my art
yeah,
brand. And it's been fun because the characters are adults, like they're late 30s is the two main characters, but I'm like it's still like this all ages adventure. Like I'm kind of channeling a little bit of like Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones and things like that, where it's like technically they're adults, but like
yeah.
it feels yeah, an all ages, it's just fun all ages adventure. So it's been
Oh,
really fun.
that's awesome, and it's been fun chatting with you. So
Yeah.
for my listeners, can you let my listeners know where they can check out more about Tanya Hales, the writer Tanya Hales, the artist Tanya Hales, the creator of experiences?
Basically all my stuff you can find at tanyahales.com. So that's just TanyahAHales. And anything else that I have, it you can find it like it'll link to it from there. Like my Substack, you can easily find it from my website. I sell things on my website. I've got a bunch of art, and you can buy my books there or on Amazon. So yeah, and I think also on my my website will link to all my social media. So basically, yeah, TanyaHales.com is the place to go.
Awesome. Tanya, thanks for hanging out with me today.
Dude, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Okay, so the first thing I really want to, there's a few, I mean, obviously, I always have a few things I want to reflect on. The first one is the one that really spoke to me is Tanya's, I call it her logline or her brand, and I mean, creating experiences. And that's what she takes great pleasure in. She loves it. You can hear it in her voice. I mean, you can see it in her smile when you're talking to her and we're talking about art and we're talking about story. It's contagious. It's magical. It's Animal Magica? Magical? But I do love that. It's so wonderfully contagious and brilliant, and that's why I wanted one of the reasons I wanted to bring her on the podcast. And again, there'll be a link to that Substack article. But it was inevitable, and I think it was inevitable. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today in a post I shared on Instagram. It was like, I'm so lucky that I get to do what I do. I'm so lucky, and I do count my blessings every single day on what I get to do. You know, making things up and helping writers and all those things. I love every aspect of it, and you can tell Tanya loves every aspect of what she does as a person, as a mother, as a spouse, as a illustrator, an artist, and a storyteller. She just loves it all, and that's amazing. That's why one of the reasons I was so glad to share her brilliance with you. But I love also how she kind of experiments. She loves to play and experiment, and it really is playing. She's having a creative time playing, which is absolutely amazing. And I think the other thing I want to reflect on is, so I learned from Tanya that this was her very first appearance being interviewed on a podcast, and she was nervous. And she did not come across nervous. She just came across, I was chatting with her, she was enthusiastic and passionate, and hopefully she inspired you. Even if she inspired you, 1/10 of how much she inspired me, I know that's going to be a fantastic and amazing thing. And that the thing I believe I reminded Tanya about that is a reminder that I'm nervous when I do interviews. I'm nervous when I'm on stage and I'm speaking and I'm delivering content or presentation, because I really want to make sure that I'm bringing value to the audience, and I never lose that fear. Doesn't matter how many times I've done it. So I told her, A, you're a natural. B, just keep talking about the things you're passionate about, and people, as James Owen says, people will see it in you, and they will find ways to be there and prop you up and help you with those things, because it's contagious. You want, when you see someone who's enthusiastic. So here's an assignment I'd love to give to you for the next little while. You sometimes see posts on social media where, picture of, it's often from The Sound of Music, where Julie Andrews is running around in the mountains, swinging her arms around like, hey, here's me not caring about the Super Bowl or whatever. Because there's things, people like really love, they love their Star Trek, they love their Doctor Who, they love their Star Wars, they say, I'm going to all they love their Spider-Man comic books, they love their music, they love their whatever. And yes, it's kind of cute and funny to say, here's me not caring about the Super Bowl, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big sports fan. But I have to remind myself that there are people for whom they love that as much as I love Spider-Man, or I love Rush music, or I love Cheers episodes, or I love the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or, all of those things. And isn't it great when somebody loves something so much that they're willing to express it? So our challenge, I'm going to challenge myself, I'm going to challenge you. When you see somebody anywhere, doesn't have to be in the writing community, just be anywhere out there, who is sharing something that they truly love, give them a like, give them a thumbs up, give them a smiley face, give them some sort of props. Because those people who are doing things they love and sharing things that they love, even if it's not something that you love. Like, hey, I really love broccoli. It's like, well, no, actually I do love broccoli, but picking something that they're not a big fan of and just saying, good for you. Like, that's great that you're loving this so much, because I think the world needs more positivity. And I want to do my best when I'm interacting with other people to recognize those things they're passionate about and give them a smile back for that. This even goes back to 2 episodes ago with Scott Patterson, just talking about that smile, just being nice to the cashier or the store clerk or whoever it is that you encounter. You don't know what's going on in their day. Maybe that smile can make a huge positive difference, and maybe it's something they need. So our task is we're going to be Tanya. We're going to be like Tanya, and in terms of being as enthusiastic for them about the things they're passionate about as they are. Now, we don't need to. I don't need to watch the Super Bowl to be happy for someone who's happy that the Super Bowl is on. As a forthcoming example, I don't need to love this music as much as someone else loves this music, but I love the fact that they love the music. And anyways, I know it's not a writing thing, but if you want to turn it into a writing thing, we can, right? So when you think about someone you encounter in the next week or so, or however long it is, and you see the enthusiasm and the passion that they have, that narrowed down, tightly focused passion they have on something, that's something you can probably leverage in a character to make a character that you've written a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more realistic, because we're all very passionate about something, and that passion may drive some of the decisions that they make. So there, see? We can do things to make the world a little bit better in our small ways, and we can also do that to make our characters and our writing that much richer. Look at me coming up with things that might be useful for a final concluding reflection. But I have rambled on long enough. I want to thank you so much for listening. I do love to hear what it is that you're reflecting on, what it is that you're passionate about. And feel free to leave those over at starkreflections.ca or wherever you listen to this podcast. I do love that, because I love catching the things that you picked up on, and that when I share that back with other listeners, you're helping them. It's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, and I always think that's a really great thing, to get multiple perspectives on something that we got out of something else. But that's it for the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I do also appreciate reviews and honest, positive comments wherever you listen to the podcast. Be great. Or better yet, share this episode or any episode that resonates with you with someone that you think would find value, because that can make their day better. And, sharing with someone else can make you feel good too. And then knowing that you've done that makes me feel good. So we're all just feeling good. So until next week, and until next Feel Good episode, this is Mark Leslie Lefebvre wishing you great writing, wonderful passions, and good Stark reflections.
Thank you for listening to the Stark Reflections podcast. You can find show notes for each episode at starkreflections.ca.
The music for this podcast, Laser Groove, was composed and produced by Kevin MacLeod. Check out more of Kevin's great music at incomptech.com.